Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning. It's Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. It is Monday morning, April 2nd, the day after April Fools. I saw some very funny ones yesterday. A group of them in particular from Google were very, very funny. Google Tap was my personal favorite. It was the idea that instead of having a keypad on your phone, they would have two buttons, and you'd be able to tap out Morse code on your phone, which would be far more efficient than working with the typical QWERTY keyboard. Again, I hope you enjoyed April Fools. I sure did. And I want to let you know that this show is brought to you by consultingassignments.com. Consultingassignments.com is a website where you can post positions, consulting assignments, full-time consulting jobs, contract to hire, temp to perm situations anywhere in the world. If you're looking for an assignment, if you're looking for a full-time consulting job, you can search positions there for free as well. You can post your resume for free. If you're a recruiter, if you're a corporation, you can search resumes for free. While you're at the site, if you want to expand what you're looking at, click on the word Indeed, and that'll take you over to the Indeed website, where you'll be able to look at even more positions. It's a site I like. So consultingassignments.com if you fit the bill for any of those categories of job I mentioned before. So this show is called No BS Job Search Advice, and the reason I named it that is I thought people need to hear things in a relatively direct way instead of being coddled. I think culturally in the U.S., we're so polite with one another now. Sometimes we just need to get told the truth in a direct way. And the truth in a direct way that I see for many of you, I'm not saying you in particular, but for many job hunters, is that, frankly, they're kind of lazy with their career. They don't really take it seriously until the time where they hit crisis and they have to find a job. So the result winds up being lurching from thing to thing without really a cohesive plan. And the impact of that is, well, frankly, you lose your career more often than not because you don't really think in terms of career. You think in terms of doing a job well. You think of delivering on what you're asked to do at your place of employment, but you don't really think in career terms and how to get to the next level, how to be successful in your career, how to win. And none of this happens by accident. Most people need to do some career planning and think proactively about the steps in their career and how to achieve them. So I want to talk with you about a couple of things that I think are appropriate for most people to do in thinking of their careers. So let me just start by saying most of you are not as important as you think you are to your employer. If you don't believe me, talk to some of the ones who thought they were important who got laid off during the Great Recession. There were a lot of folks who thought that they were critical to their employer, were absolutely instrumental to the success of a project or an organization, and got fired. So, number one, wake up. Wake up and pay attention because this does involve your career. And it does require some periodic thought. And it does involve some effort on your part. Sorry, like many things in life, it requires planning. It requires preparation. It requires some consideration on your part. So just be aware that, you may think you're doing a great job where you are, but no one knows about it. Your manager may know, but of all the people who work in your organization, how many people know what you really do and how important you may think you are and how important you may be? So, and if you go outside your organization, I assure you no one knows. So you have to do things to market and promote yourself. So step number one really is waking up to the fact that you're not as successful and not as important as you think you are. Number two is to think ahead. Where do you want to take your career over the next 5 years? Where do you want to take it over the next 10 years? What are the steps that people need to take in order to achieve that? You can measure where you are right now. That's easy. But let's say you want to go from being an accountant to running a practice. What do you need to do? It's not like one day someone's going to knock on the door and invite you to take over a significant part of their business. Do you need to start your own firm? If so, what do you need to do in order to do that? What's the training and experience you'll need to have? If you're a programmer and you want to become a project manager, what's the training and experiences that you're going to need to have to get to that level? And if you just simply rely on your employer to give them to you incrementally, I can assure you're making a mistake, because they're probably happy having you do what you're doing where you are. So, what sort of training do you need to get? How do you need to position yourself within your firm or at another firm in order to move up and get the training experiences that you want in order to move up to that level? And that leads me to the next thing, because even if you're a nice person and you don't really want to push, there's a tendency that people have to become obsolete. They do the same thing so well that no one really looks to them for anything more. And it becomes real easy to be left, like a fruit on the vine of a tree. After the season is over, what eventually happens? Of course, it withers away and eventually falls off the tree. And that happens to a lot of people in their careers. So, wake up and fight obsolescence. If that means you're going to have to write out a check for yourself in order to get additional training, do it. If that means that you're going to have to understand what these schools will do to support you after you get this training in using that experience, do it. Just don't sit there and be passive with your career. For many of you, it's going to be 40 to 50 years of your life that you're going to be spending in work-related matters. Do you want to become a victim, or do you want to become an achiever? A victim is someone who expects their employer to take care of them, kind of like mom and dad. And these days of waiting for the gold watch. For my international listeners, sorry, that's an American term for, in days past when people would be able to work until retirement, often they received a gold watch at the going away party that was thrown for them. These days, when it's time to go away, they basically tell you, don't let the door hit you in the back, So things have changed, and you need to fight obsolescence. Another thing you need to do is to be networking. And I don't just simply mean networking when you need a job. That's probably the worst time to be doing it. But you're networking within the period of time that you're doing a great job. And that's networking within your organization. It's networking outside of it. How many trade groups are you a part of? If you're in technology, there's so many user groups that are available to you where you can meet others, learn from them, and develop relationships. Become a participant. And if you're a mom or dad who has requirements at home, you have to have a partner who's understanding of your needs here, because this all involves time. Are you writing? Are you publishing? Are you doing things to promote yourself on LinkedIn, which is probably the easiest place in the world to do it? For almost anything someone does professionally, LinkedIn has a member group, and you can get onto the group, read and participate in the group, and thus become known to members as someone who's knowledgeable in a particular subject area. That's the easiest way to do it. You can also write articles for magazines. You can publish articles online. I'm publishing material for authors at no cost up front. I take a very small piece of someone someone's ebook or article or essay is sold, but when all is said and done, there's no upfront money. Obviously, you can drop me a note, and I'll talk with you about the program at another time. But there's a lot of ways to get your name out there, and that's what you need to be doing on a regular basis: is networking and promoting yourself so people think of you as a go-to person. Lastly, and I can't stress this enough, is really being aware of your market value. The truth is, your colleagues are probably the worst judges of what your value is. And I'm going to tell you that if you rely on someone within your office to tell you how much they're making, then compare it to what you're earning. That's only a very small segment of a population to be considering. You need to go outside of it. And I must tell you, I'm going to use an IT term here, you may be doing Java development at a small company that pays at bottom rate, but the big firms that are paying at the highest rates may not consider you because what you're doing will seem relatively trivial to them. So you have to understand that peer group, and that's the term I'm going to use here, peer group value really extends beyond your employer to firms of similar size and scope. So you have to understand your value to your peer group and figure out how to improve upon it so that the firms who pay more will find value in what you do. And that's a lengthy conversation. I'm going to get into that in another show in a few weeks. But these are some of the things you need to be doing regularly. Yes, they involve effort, but nothing that provides payoff in life comes easily. Yes, there are the people with lucky genes that were born into families where money was passed on to them. But for most people I talk with, they're individuals who, to put it bluntly, really have to spend time with their careers and thinking ahead and how to move their careers forward. So those are my tips for today. Let me talk with you about a few of the new jobs I'm recruiting for. The first one is for a Windows support engineer in New York. They're looking for someone with a degree from a great school, Windows technologies including Exchange 2010 and SharePoint, and a good understanding of Unix as well, and that's Linux, BSD. Knowledge of scripting languages such as PowerShell, Perl, and Bourne. This is going to, I believe, about 125 on a base plus bonus. I have a role for an equity derivatives research analyst in New York. Now, this is IT related, so they want someone with a degree from a good school, Java, C, or C++ programming background, plus some scripting experience. The ability to successfully take on research projects and deal with analytics questions, as well as an interest in finance. I also have a role for a senior network engineer going to about 150. That's going to be listed on my website, which is jeffaltman.com. So come over to the site, take a look at the other positions I have listed there. But if you heard any on the show today for which you're qualified, interested, and available, please email your resume to me at thebiggamehunter@cisny.com. If you know someone else who might fit one of the roles better than you, please ask them to forward a resume and mention your name. I'll look out for them, I assure you. As I said, many more positions at jeffaltman.com. Come over to the site and search. And at the same time, use the resources that I have available. Sign up for a complimentary subscription to No BS Job Search Advice e-zine while you're there. Post your resume using the Easy to Work with Career Builder links. There are other places to post your resume as well, plus a link to the Job Search Universe search tool, which searches thousands of websites concurrently. So come over to jeffaltman.com and go explore it. There's a lot there. So I'll be back next week with No BS Job Search Advice Radio. Hope you found today's show helpful, and I hope you have a great week. Take care.